Hello, my name is Jessica Garza. Today, I will be presenting my research proposal on the complex topic of education, more specifically, the effects of Montessori education versus traditional education. In our introduction, we will look at educational approaches, research focus, purpose of comparison, and importance. As I mentioned in the beginning, education is a complex field, especially for people involved in the education world or teaching, as myself. It is through research that we can best understand what, how, and when to teach for optimal student success. This study aims to explore this complexity by examining the differences between Montessori and traditional educational approaches, focusing on their effectiveness in fostering creativity and problem-solving skills. This research is important as it seeks to address a gap in existing literature by employing a quantitative approach to gain a deeper understanding of how different teaching philosophies truly impact student learning and overall development. The importance of this comparison lies in the fact that Montessori and traditional education represent significantly distinct pedagogical approaches. By statistically analyzing how students engage with problem solving within each setting, valuable insights can be uncovered that can later guide educational choices or approaches. This slide introduces the central focus of the study, which asks, is there a difference between Montessori and traditional educational environments in their influence on elementary students' creativity, problem-solving abilities, interest, motivation, and learning attitudes? The working hypothesis posits that there is a difference, specifically that elementary students in Montessori classrooms will demonstrate higher levels of creativity and enhanced problem-solving abilities than students in traditional education. Both the question and hypothesis guide our inquiry into the potential benefits of the Montessori approach. In this table, we could see the differences between traditional education and Montessori education. It provides a foundational overview within our literature review, showing the theoretical and practical differences between both education methods. Pointing out these distinctions is important for understanding the research, question, and hypothesis. Traditional education often uses a set curriculum where teachers lead the classrooms. This approach focuses on mastering core subjects and tests students with standardized exams to measure understandings. While this method aims to pass on important information effectively, some people believe it can limit students' natural curiosity and their opportunity to explore learning on their own. On the other side, we have Montessori education, which was created over 100 years ago and is now becoming more popular and more seen around the world. This method focuses on kids and their learning. Children have the freedom to choose their activities and learn by doing hands-on work. The classroom is organized with special materials that help them learn on their own, and the teachers are there to support and guide them when needed. This approach allows kids to explore and grow at their own pace, developing their natural skills and interests. Comparing both of these educational approaches allows us to see their differing approaches to learning curriculum and the role of the educator. Highlighting these differences helps establish the theoretical groundwork for investigating how Montessori environments might potentially foster greater creativity and problem-solving skills compared to traditional educational settings. Here we will take a look at the history of what is Montessori education. We start with Dr. Maria Montessori. Her work came from her observations of children, leading to a new way of teaching different from traditional schools. She believed that kids learned best when they explored and did things on their own in a well-prepared space. One of her focuses was on the absorbent mind, in which children from birth to age 6 can easily soak up information from their surroundings. This time is essential for their thinking and learning as they create their understanding of the world naturally and without much effort. Another critical aspect is the sensitive periods. This is described as windows of opportunity in which children are especially ready to learn certain skills like language or movement. Montessori also believes that children are motivated to learn when they can choose what interests them. The prepared environment is therefore designed to cater to these sensitive periods and intrinsic motivations. Moving forward, we dive into the gaps, debates, and implications of our research. So here we will look at existing research, the limitations of research that already exists, concerns by policymakers and the public, and the benefits and implications for future research. To better establish significance of this study, addressing gaps, debates, and implications in existing literature is imperative. Despite the growing popularity of the Montessori education approach, critics argue that it lacks diversifiable potential and may pose challenges for students who thrive in structured settings such as traditional education. There has also been a lack of empirical evidence supporting the long-term effects of Montessori education pertaining to academic success or benefits, which calls for more rigorous longitudinal studies. Although research on the Montessori approach is growing, gaps are still present, especially in comparative studies that solely quantify the impact of Montessori versus traditional methods on specific developmental outcomes, such as creativity or problem-solving skills. This is especially true in diverse socioeconomic settings. The existing literature often provides qualitative insights or focuses on a limited range of outcomes, leaving room for more comprehensive quantitative analysis. These studies aim to address this gap by directly comparing the influence of Montessori and traditional educational environments, with the intention of contributing to a better understanding of the strengths and limitations of each educational approach and providing valuable empirical data for educators, policymakers, and parents. Here we look at the methods and data collection. The study will involve at least 500 elementary students aged 6 to 12 years old from diverse Montessori and traditional schools across the U.S. This sample size was determined by the power analysis, which ensures sufficient statistical power to detect meaningful differences in creativity and problem solving. All participants will undergo standardized academic assessments, including the reliable and validated Torrance test of creative thinking, to compare outcomes effectively. Strict ethical guidelines will be followed, requiring complete parental permissions and child assent for all participants, as per the Human Research Protection Program standards and the ethical principles of the psychologists and code of conduct, ensuring effective and respectful conduct of the study. Methods and data collection. This research is designed through quasi-experimental design, which involves collecting quantitative data through standardized academic assessments. The Torrance test of creative thinking, a widely recognized instrument designed to evaluate both creativity and problem-solving skills, is chosen for its established validity and reliability as highlighted by MindPath 2019. The primary objective of this quantitative data collection is to provide measurable insights into how students from Montessori and traditional educational backgrounds may differ in their problem-solving abilities. This approach aligns with the research focus, emphasizing the importance of direct comparison between these two educational models. Based on the study's design and research goals, the statistical analysis will proceed in two stages. First, independent sample t-test will be used to assess if the Montessori and traditional education groups are comparable on baseline factors like age, intelligence, and family income. Subsequently, to analyze the differences in creativity and problem-solving skills, an analysis of covariance and COGO will be employed, as suggested by Witt and Witt, 2017. This method is appropriate for examining group differences on outcome variables while statistically controlling for relevant covariates like age and other baseline factors, thereby enhancing the precision of findings. Here we take a look at some of the hypothetical data that we have. Based on the study's hypothesis, the null hypothesis and alternative have been established as follows. The null hypothesis says there is no difference in creativity and problem-solving abilities. The alternative says Montessori students demonstrate higher creativity and problem-solving abilities. This is the outcome we anticipate if our initial theory holds true. The null hypothesis is the baseline assumption that we aim to test against. To objectively evaluate these hypotheses, the statistical significance of alpha equals 0.05 for rejecting the null means that if our p-value is below 0.05, it gives us enough reason to believe that our findings are significant and not just happening by chance. Given the total sample size of 500 students, 250 per group, we can see here that after adjusting for baseline covariates such as age, intelligence, and family income, the ANCOVA will use an F statistic for significance. For a one-tailed test at the alpha level of 0.05, the critical value will be determined by the ANCOVA's F distribution. Based on this, the expected results would show Montessori students, the sample size being 250, will have a higher adjusted Torrance test mean score of 115.8 with an estimated standard error, compared to traditional education students with the same sample size of 250 with an adjusted mean score of 109.3 with its estimated standard error. This means there is a statistically significant difference as shown by an ANCOVA F statistic. For instance, F would equal 32.15 with a p-value of less than 0.001. These findings lead to the rejection of the null hypothesis, suggesting that Montessori education significantly fosters greater creativity and problem-solving abilities among students compared to traditional education, even when controlling for the initial student differences. Here we can look at future research, which is what's needed for there to be a definite and absolute change, which is necessary. We should be looking at cognitive development, long-term effects, accessibility and diversity, educator influence and support, as well as modern education. Future research is imperative, like I said, for improving and understanding the benefits of Montessori education. First, studies should explore how Montessori education aids children's development by looking at its effects on cognitive development through modern neuroscience. This can help us see how this approach improves thinking and problem-solving skills from early childhood throughout development. Building on research from Denevard et al., 2019, and Lilliard and Taggart, 2019, it is also important to conduct thorough studies on the long-term effects of Montessori education, thereby demonstrating sustained value. The role of educator influence and support also requires research specifically into teacher fidelity, pedagogical effectiveness, and the systematic factors that help or hinder them in their job, especially within diverse educational settings. Exploring how Montessori education can reach all types of students and help close achievement gaps will provide insights essential for developing better educational policies and practices. Although Snyder et al. 2022 contributes to this area, research is limited and must be more extensive. Additionally, it is important to identify how Montessori ideas fit into today's education, including online learning and different social and economic situations. This thorough research plan can provide the necessary information to guide education policy, improve teaching methods, and expand access to Montessori education overall. For our conclusion, we will look at the purpose, rigor, impact, and contributions of this particular study. The overall purpose of this study is to investigate the distinct ways Montessori and traditional education foster creativity and problem solving, providing critical insights into how teaching philosophies directly influence student learning and development. This research is crucial as it addresses the current lack of comprehensive empirical support and common criticisms directed at Montessori education, aiming to establish a clearer understanding of its pedagogical efficacy. By rigorously examining these educational models, we aim to contribute significantly to improving elementary education, helping to identify and advocate for best practices that nurture creativity and problem solving. Ultimately, this work is designed to help shape future educational reforms and curriculum designs, ensuring that all students are better prepared to climb their own ladder of success. Here is a look at my references. And thank you for your time.